On to the death battle.
I got spoiled on the winner already.
Okay.
So somebody posted a fucking picture of the death battle thumbnail and then the winner right next to it. Kind of our fault for not jumping. It's only been 3 days though.
Stop spoiling shit. You're gonna watch it anyway. We're not spoiled on the fight. So we're gonna get right into it.
I am curious to know more about Shigaraki because I don't watch My Hero at all. Mahito's overpowered in his own universe with just touch of faces and shit, but I don't know.
I'm interested in the battle, so let's get right to it.
Shigaraki versus Mahito.
The symbol of fear versus the human disaster curse.
He's Wiz and I'm Boomstick.
And it's our job to analyze their weapons, armor, and skills to find out who would win.
Mahito will always be a piece of shit. Fuck Mahito. Forever.
He's my favorite villain for that year.
Was just a sweet, shy boy who loved superheroes.
But sometimes the hand of fate can't abide sweet, shy boys.
Ruthlessly beaten and abused by his hero-hating father, Tenko pushed beyond his emotional limits until he activated his inherent superpower, or quirk.
It wasn't something cool
law
like
player
flying or
in
super
Smash Brothers
strength.
player?
In his
I never
terror,
knew.
he accidentally killed his whole family. Well, except for dear old dad. That one was intentional.
Tenko wandered the streets alone, silently begging for someone, anyone, to help him. If only a hero was there to save him. But instead, the only open hand he found belonged to the devil.
All for one. The greatest supervillain in history.
He took Tenko under his wing, feeding a hatred of
Is he the greatest
everyone
supervillain in
and
history?
everything, and grooming him
YouTube
to
comments
one
let me
day
know.
lead his league
I'm not
of
up with My
villains
Hero.
in destroying
There was
hero
more.
society.
With
I said I started this, got into it a little bit, then fell off.
An absolutely nightmarish quirk, Decay. It does what it says on the tin. Anything Shiggy touches with all 5 fingers turns to dust. The perfect power for someone
Alright,
who
so
just wants
that's why
to
this battle
destroy.
happens. It's a battle of touch.
Very
Bad
menacing.
touch.
Not for that dorky ass costume. I get it, hands are his thing, but come on, they just look so dumb and fake.
Oh, those aren't prosthetics. Those are real hands from his family that he killed, attached to his face, and explicitly commanded to be left
Got a
there
more
by
fucked
his
up backstory
mentor
than Mahito.
so that he would never forget his rage.
Okay.
While his use of decay started off relatively weak, it rapidly increased in power and range as Shigaraki came into his own.
Decay isn't even limited to whatever he's touching.
You're slapping
Anything
puzzle
that
pieces out of
touches
people?
something he's decaying also decays.
Spreading like an all-consuming miasma that can wipe out anything from an enormous tower to an entire city.
If decay reaches you, your only
That
hope
sounds
is
bigger
to
than anything
isolate the
Mahito.
body part that is
That's shown
destroyed
in the fucking
before it
anime.
gets to something vital.
After years of training with the greatest supervillain of all time, Shigaraki was finally put in charge of his own team with one mission. He must kill his master's rival, the #1 hero, All Might.
Only to fall flat on his face.
Shigaraki was a terrible leader, quick-tempered, short-sighted, and, well,
Cringe. Oh, he's just so cringe. He uses gamer lingo unironically. He whines like a baby when things don't go his way. He's the kind of guy who would say normie in real life, in front of normies.
But they say defeat is the greatest teacher of all. Only through struggle could Shigaraki manifest his dark conviction.
Right as All Might's new protege, Izuku Midoriya, was coming into his own as well.
He's a crybaby
These two
too.
rivals, the inheritors of their master's
Every shonen has a
blood feud,
crybaby.
would push themselves past their own limitations.
Especially when
Who's
All
Jujutsu
Might and All
crybaby?
for One double KO'd each other, leaving Shigaraki to lead the League of Villains all by himself.
And with the stakes higher than ever
Fuck
before,
that, I'm saying,
Shigaraki
Megumi.
stepped up. He personally
Uh,
battled the
could be.
monster
I don't know.
Machia for a month and a half straight, and conquered other villain organizations to create the Paranormal Liberation Front. Thousands of new soldiers for his personal army.
All to impress All for One's personal quack, Dr. Ujiko, who
There's
spent
Robotnik.
months upgrading
Basically.
Shigaraki's body to make it more like his sensei's. It might have been constant agony, but Shiggy went from Chud to Chad.
Ujiko's experimentation vastly increased Shigaraki's strength, speed, and durability, enough to match and surpass even All Might's absurd power.
Sharing All Might's power between them, Deku and Bakugo were able to punch an island-sized hole in a cloud that reached 24 miles into the sky. We've calculated that before to be nearly 80 million megatons of TNT, almost as much much as the meteor that wiped out the
Did it just better. I
dinosaurs.
don't
And
remember who
Shigaraki
fucking
can
won.
now move fast enough that his body produces hypersonic shockwaves and can even catch laser beams.
And he's tough enough to survive Star and Stripes Intercontinental Ballistic Cruise Punch. Now the new name for my penis. Move over, gigantic
Hey.
Omega Storm. Anyway, it also made a blast so big it showed up against the curvature of the Earth.
Though he might seem invincible, when Shigaraki's body is pushed hard enough, he will evolve into a state of uncontrollable power.
So Decay became, oh shit, more hands.
Shigaraki can spontaneously generate flesh into existence, seemingly oceans of it in an instant, whenever he wants. He can even use it as a type of armor to defend himself in close combat.
But that's nothing compared to Ujiko's greatest gift. Shigaraki wanted to be the new All for One. So what better way than the old man's quirk?
All for One's quirk, All for One, allows its user to steal and store quirks with just a touch.
And All for One has hundreds of them stored up, collected over the years.
Each quirk is connected to a memory of its user's essence.
Was it a
in
90s
the
band
form of
called All for One?
spirit, a vestige.
Yeah,
Kinda like a
it
piece
was.
of their soul. They exist in this kinda psychic world in Shigaraki's body and can even act as a spiritual defense should it be
Yeah.
invaded.
I
And
heard
with those
about it.
vestiges came quirks like super fast healing, air blast, radio waves, flight, telekinesis, teleportation of others, and the ability to track foes.
He can even combine multiple quirks together, like in this big-ass electric Kamehameha.
However, any vestige stolen or destroyed will also remove that quirk from Shigaraki's repertoire. They're also sentient, and some can even fight for control.
Which is when the second shoe finally dropped. Because Shigaraki also got All for One's vestige, that means All for One was now in possession of a shiny new body that he'd spent the last 15 years molding for him to take over.
Shigaraki's
crazy.
entire existence was planned from the beginning. Why? Because All Might's previous mentor was Nana Shimura, Tenko's grandmother.
Oh, that to mess with All Might. That is some next level hating right there.
He manipulated Shigaraki's entire life, all for one purpose: to create a soul so corrupted it would grind away at All Might's perfect world, allowing All for One to take full control.
But All for One's possession wasn't complete, and Shiggy managed to fight his way back to the top, literally decaying his way through vestiges in the process, all to fight his rival Deku one last time.
Despite Izuku's best efforts to
Deku!
save him,
I'ma deck
Shigaraki
you
was
in
too
schnars!
far gone. His spirit decayed by years of venomous hatred.
And the new symbol of hope defeated the new symbol of fear, burying All for One's grudge for good.
All that Shigaraki asked was to be remembered as the heartless destroyer he was raised to be, and not the broken, angry, crying little boy he really was deep
What you
inside.
care about a
For
villain?
just that
Can't
one
hate that.
moment, though, Shiggy got in Deku the only thing he'd been denied his whole
Some
life.
anime don't give a fuck about the
one
villains.
thing his
Yep.
Solo
lifelong
leveling.
nihilistic tantrum was really all about. He got a hero who tried to save him.
Hey.
Ever since Cain slew his brother Abel and wetted his fields with his blood, man's greatest fear has been his fellow man.
But what if this fear took on a life of its own?
What if all that negative emotion humans felt for one another spilled from their bodies and congealed, forming, over time, a living being fueled by malice, which believes in nothing but the law of the jungle?
Well, then you'd
Yeah,
have the
yeah,
special
yeah,
brain
yeah.
curse with a patch face, Mahito. Oh, I've had people tell me I've become a human disaster curse when I've had too many mojitos.
Mahito is one of the deadliest beings to ever
Only a few
afflict
months old.
mankind. He's no mere mortal, though, but a cursed spirit. Innumerable spirits
David.
exist, weaker or stronger, depending on the amount
He's a
of
fan
anxieties,
of-
jealousies, hatreds, and fears humans feel
Okay.
about them.
Like the fear of locusts, kinda weak. Or the fear of smallpox, getting stronger. Or the fear of fire. Oh, goodbye, Tokyo.
So it follows that mankind's fear of itself would be extremely powerful. Those negative emotions manifest as Mahito, a being
So-
composed
Like,
of
people used to
cursed
talk about
energy.
these guys, and I agree with this too. Enough, like during the first season, how the good guys fight for what they believe in, the bad guys are fighting with what they believe in. They do things in a different way, but they believe that what they're doing is right.
Right.
As the show goes on, I no longer felt that way.
Nah, it became for what it really is. Like, it's still like Zero kind of explains it a little bit.
Yeah.
But going on, you're starting to see like the difference in to what they're really fighting for and everything.
It felt like Gato's reasoning was that, and then the whole Kenjaku shit went to a different. I'm talking into anime.
So
shit
now I think that's what Jujutsu Kaisen is bringing. It's bringing all different sides.
Yeah,
you have the good guys, but then you also have that. Going later on into it, you see that even the school that they're at has its ways and everything like that. Because
that's what the beginning of the season with Gojo and Gato doing a thing, and then how Gato took a step back and started trying to lead shit his own way. That's what I'm talking about. How he believed what he was doing was right with the monkeys.
Hey, man.
Like evil ki. Cursed energy can be used to make spirits way stronger, faster, and tougher than any normal human. And it's
like that
invisible.
early shit, it felt more like a war. Like in any war, every side, both sides believe what they're doing is right for their kind.
Situation can galvanize a normal person to see a cursed spirit.
That also makes cursed spirits virtually immune to physical damage. They may be physically present in space, but can only be harmed by attacks that embody spirit matter like cursed energy.
Which makes curses insanely
Give us a
hard
breakdown
to
of
get
curse.
rid
You're trying to
of,
explain
like
the shit that
ghosts,
Jujutsu Kaisen had a
cockroaches.
bad time explaining.
Yeah,
That's
pretty
why
much.
you need a jujutsu sorcerer to come in and kaizen the shit out of them. They call it exorcism, but I like the way I said it better.
Curses and sorcerers have battled each other for millennia, waging an endless war over the fate of humanity. Almost exclusively in Japan, though, for some reason.
But Mahito is special. You see, most curses are basically dumb animals, but Mahito has so much cursed energy that it gave him sentience.
So he was recruited by Kenjaku alongside other special grade disaster curses
Glad they called
to
it who
wreak
it was.
havoc upon the world.
Spoiler.
In fact, they made Mahito their leader.
And even more frightening than intelligence and bloodlust, Mahito possessed philosophy.
Perhaps informed by the tragic meaninglessness of interhuman conflict, Mahito is an existential nihilist, believing in nothing but his own will to power. It's a dog-eat-dog world, and Mahito is the wolf.
Which also makes him kind of a goofball. If nothing matters, why not have fun with the slaughter?
That's why I loved his carelessness as he was
Yes,
knocking
because
people
he
off,
was-
though, like still smiling, laughing about this shit. That's what made him more
The evil
scary.
shit.
An
Yeah.
appropriate analogy considering his
It's
curse
menacing.
technique, idle transfiguration.
Using his cursed energy, Mahito
So
can
garbage how they got him up out of
anyone's
there.
soul with just a touch.
Such an
Fuck
underwhelming.
you,
including his
Kenjaku.
own.
Underwhelming
In fact, he's
in-
so good at manipulating his own soul
In the anime
that you
aspect,
can't
yeah.
even
Yeah.
kill the bastard without directly targeting it.
In Jujutsu Kaisen, the soul and the body share an immutable connection. Whatever happens to the former affects the latter.
This lets Mahito squash, stretch, and shape-shift his body into literally anything he wants. Like Play-Doh, he can turn his limbs into blades or clubs, grow wings like a bird or fins like a fish, reform his body around injuries, or even create clones.
Curse users are naturally
Fuck
unharmed by
that
their
clone.
own ability. Should he touch a human, though, his alterations to their body are instantly fatal.
And since he's attacking your soul, those physical wounds are gonna be impossible to heal.
Even if his alteration isn't
Still not healed, huh?
fatal, the human
Spoilers.
body won't last more than a few moments in a transfigured state.
All that with one touch. God, I thought herpes was bad.
Toto's not
His
healed, but
powers
yeah,
mean
that one
Mahito
that way.
treats
Huh?
humans as effectively disposable dolls that he
Don't
can
know what happened to that
gleefully
one.
experiment on. The more casualties, the better, especially if he gets to break your spirit first and watch you suffer.
Even more twisted is when he combines two transfigured humans together for soul multiplicity. Essentially a giant torrent of body horror flesh that he repels at an opponent. Ugh.
Mahito is unbelievably creative with his application of idle transfiguration, and despite being a newborn curse, consistently keeps experienced sorcerers on the back foot.
It helps that he's a quick study who's picked up a number of different curse techniques, like the
So what you
Black
telling me
Flash.
he's
By applying
experienced?
cursed energy within 1 microsecond
Somehow, even though
of
he's
impact
only
with
a couple
an
days
enemy,
old.
space itself will distort,
Quick learner, I'll say.
exponentially amplifying its force by a factor of 2.5.
Not only does this hurt like a mother, it restores your curse technique and gets you fully in the zone.
And would require reflexes moving nearly 1,000 times the speed of sound. It's no surprise then that Mahito also unlocked the pinnacle of sorcerer techniques, the domain expansion.
Oh shit!
Everybody
More
gets one.
hands. A domain is like a barrier of cursed energy, but if you're caught inside, Mahito can use idle transfiguration instantly without even needing to touch you.
It's called the self-embodiment of perfection, the
the
ultimate
real
expression of
nigga.
Mahito's absolute
Shout out to
control
Red.
over his body and soul, the only time it ever
Hey.
failed was against the student sorcerer and Mahito's archenemy.
Your name?
Yuji
I hate to stop in the middle of a thing. Your Name is one of the best, not even anime movies that I've seen. One of the best movies I've ever watched.
Ooh.
Great movie.
Okay, I haven't seen it yet.
I loved it. I watched it like 2 years ago. I love that fucking movie.
All right. We're going to keep that in mind, though.
Yeah.
Because not only was Yuji a barf-inducing goody little two-shoes who believed in the inalienable rights of all living things, blah, 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 he also had a curse inside of him.
the king of curses, Sukuna.
Which meant Mahito's ability affected both souls in Yuji's body. Sukuna didn't like that. No surprise, and kicked Mahito's ass, forcing Patchface to fight with a handicap whenever facing his pink-haired menace.
Yuji's belief in the value of human life flew directly in the face of the world that Mahito knew to be cruel and meaningless. So he made it his mission to crush Yuji's spirit before killing him, murdering his friends, defiling their corpses, and brutally battering them before going in for the kill.
Lord.
And he's got the strength to
Lord.
do it. Mahito's one of the most powerful curses in the world, and his growth is exponential.
Fellow disaster curse Jogo was able to summon a massive meteor capable of reducing the city of Shibuya to ash.
That'd take an energy of over 800 kilotons of TNT.
And Mahito can take as good as he can give, especially when, in the throes of struggle against Yuji, he evolved, unlocking a vastly more powerful form.
I forget about this
The
other form.
instant
It's like it only lasted for one episode.
It did. You
Complete
got beat
with
the fuck
armored
up.
exoskeleton and arm blades. This was a taste of the almighty curse Mahito was growing into. A true blight on all mankind.
It wouldn't last. In a bitter battle of resolve, Yuji won out. In a dog-eat-dog world, there was now a bigger wolf.
So he tucked tail and ran away like a bitch. And what do you know? Life suddenly became a whole lot more meaningful the second it looked like it was about to end.
All that gleeful nihilism, just a bitter hypocrisy in the end.
For him,
Yes, I
maybe,
hated
but
this
Mahito
ending,
found
man.
a convert in his
This man did
archenemy
so much,
after a battle
terrorized
that
them
wiped
for
out thousands of
a
innocent
whole
people.
season, and then
Yuji's
just
youthful spirit
this
was
is how it
took his
ends.
the
soul.
only thing left that mattered was exercising this curse.
In a way, that was Mahito's final victory, the destruction of another human being's soul. He may not have been around to see it, but the curse Mahito inflicted on the world would bring it to its knees.
I want to say Mahito,
All right,
but
the combatants are set.
I'm
We
just
run
gonna
the
say-
data.
Like I said, I feel like though I know I can't even speak on it without spoiling for nobody, people that haven't seen it.
yeah, we just gonna go right into
I'll talk after.
yeah.
Through all possibilities.
It's time for a death battle!
All these people about to die in the worst way. Mata, mata, mata.
I'd heard of a powerful villain stalking these parts. My organization is going to tear this putrid world down around us. We could use a freak of your talents.
Little old me. Do I want to be king of the social rejects? How about I bring him your head instead?
Fine by me. Let's call this your audition. Sickum.
Yeah, we're the big guy.
I don't know if I like this animation for this.
I
kinda-
don't know.
Kind of weird.
Over.
Did you actually just see that? God, how lame!
Audition over.
Did I get the part?
Everybody dies. Black Flash.
What a rush!
Already?
Not even in trouble, just going and transform. Please excuse my hands.
That all you got? Domain expansion.
Already?
Just throwing out everything.
I can read your soul. You're just a scared little boy whose daddy was mean and wants to make it everyone else's problem. Grow up.
You don't know my pain?
Hands off my masterpiece.
Yeah, take your power. I take your cookies.
I felt your soul too. You only hate humanity because you were born that way. Totally.
Oh, this is weak.
You grow up.
That was weak.
What did I say, Wiz? Like a bitch.
With their complex power sets, this match was a puzzle to figure out, which is why
match
we're
was
breaking it down
one-sided.
to
That's
3
what it was.
categories: physical stats, survivability,
Even without knowing,
and
you
their
can,
powers.
from the
But
explanation
first, let's
standpoint,
address
Mahito
one
don't have
thing.
enough in the tank for
Could
that.
Shigaraki
Like I said, he's
even see
overpowered
Mahito?
in his
He's
universe.
an invisible curse after all.
Cursed energy and quirks are notably different, and
That's why I don't
Shigaraki
like
wouldn't be
like
able to see
comparing
curses
anime
normal.
universes, man. Because some
However,
shits is
even regular humans can
It's only for the
spontaneously
universe
develop the
itself.
ability to see curses in life and death scenarios. And with the Surge quirk,
not
Shigaraki would have
cool,
had no
man.
problem tracking it.
So seeing Mahito wouldn't have been an issue. With that out of the way, we can jump into their stats.
This was no contest. Despite the disaster
Duh.
curses being able to destroy entire cities with their cursed energy, Shigaraki scaling to Deku and Bakugo meant he was calculably millions of times stronger.
He was faster
Come on,
too,
man.
considering he could react to light beams, while Mahito's Black Flash capped out at nearly 1,000 times the
Well, they
speed
both
of
got
sound.
touch powers,
Nothing
couldn't
to
against each
scoff
other.
at, But Shiggy was
Yep.
That's what that
thousands
was.
of times faster. Shigaraki takes stats.
But survivability was a little trickier to figure out.
Yep, in terms of
thank
raw
you.
durability, Shigaraki was a lot tougher, and his ability to generate new flesh meant that he could heal any wounds he might receive super easy.
However, Mahito is a curse and is immune to the kind of overwhelming physical damage Shigaraki could dish out. Not only that, Mahito's regenerative ability via idle transfiguration meant that he'd come back from anything short of spiritual damage.
Considering Mahito's unique curse body, he should actually get the edge in survivability.
Which presents a crucial question.
said
Could
he should get the
Shigaraki
edge.
even kill a curse like Mahito in the first place?
Or would Mahito's unkillability give him the time he needed to eventually put Shiggy down with idle transfiguration?
It all comes down to their powers.
Shigaraki had a lot more variety with all of the crazy quirks All For One had collected over all the years,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
none that we know of could properly kill a curse. That didn't mean idle transfiguration was a surefire bet either, though.
Of all things, Shigaraki's vestiges served as a spiritual shield from the effects of idle transfiguration. The fact that Mahito could not avoid targeting Sukuna while attacking Yuji meant that he couldn't target specific souls inside a person.
Ah, so
Shiggy
that's how
has
you.
hundreds of soul-like entities inside of him. Sure, each one down means he loses a quirk, but that's more than enough time to land a single hit with Decay, especially considering how much faster Shiggy is.
And Mahito has no way to defend against Shigaraki's primary quirk. Decay has affected spiritual beings in the past. Again, vestiges. In fact, he was able to damage Deku's vestige and have that damage transferred to the Deku in the real world.
Mahito may be made of spirit energy, but he still has a physical form. In fact, sorcerers that couldn't naturally target the soul were able to fight him on even footing. No reason to think Shiggy wouldn't decay him like
Everybody was
everyone else.
banging out with him, but
Giving
he's
Shigaraki the third and
survivability. They
final
couldn't put him
edge.
down.
It was a unique duel
much.
to the death, but Shigaraki's overwhelming might, unstoppable powers, and deadly decay spelled the end for the disaster curse.
Nothing else to
Yay.
say. You really gotta hand it to
He was just a guy
Shigaraki.
that he never got
The
killed.
winner
He
is
just got
Tomura
absorbed.
Shigaraki.
He never got
Next
killed.
time on Death Battle.
Like, man. Inheritance done.
It's fucking Doom against Halo. Okay.
Subscribe and join us as a member to see more Death Battle. Thanks.
We just talked about this with something. I know this is a long-awaited fight, but we talked about doing something else
A minute ago, yeah, we talked about this a minute ago.
Why wasn't it Duke Nukem?
Because I will die.
The rematch. Yeah, I know we talked about this. Doing something. I don't even know. So who won the first?
Sam is it? Shut the fuck up, Sam.
Who won the first one?
I think Doom won the first one.
Chief won the first. Yeah. So he must be throwing the newer
quirks in there.
Yeah.
But Doom is better because Doom does this and this. And y'all only gave a little bit of explanation. That was back with probably. I wonder how far back it was now.
Before people started bitching about taking Death Battle.
Duke Nukem would fuck up the Bloody Roar cast.
And before people started fucking taking Death Battle as law.
Yeah.
So they were just throwing out anything. But I'm curious about it. We'll get on it immediately next time.
Yes, sir. But shout out to Shigaraki.
Yeah, that was fucking one-sided.
Shout out to Mahito, man. He deserved better. Actually, he didn't. Fuck Mahito.
I don't even know what other villain or character you would put him against. Jujutsu Kaisen,
it's hard.
Like they have their realm of power shit, but it feels grounded compared to a lot of other shit.
Just think about the whole Gojo and what's the name?
And Makima shit.
The Makima.
Like yeah, it was.
Thank you for watching, your boys. Watching the Death Battle.
Yeah.